Cheers. It's cute when she's moving this. Okay, got it.
I'm CHAR. I am a loving, passionate, and creative human being, indigenous to the exotic island of Jamaica, West Indies. My name, Charmaine, was handpicked by the divine, for I am the quintessence of its core meaning, singer, song, delight. Adult Conversations with CHAR was designed to stimulate wholesome, honest, and provocative dialogue. The ultimate purpose of my platform is to transform lives by empowering people to face their truth, embrace their greatness within, and impact the world for the better. Kevin Johnson is a Fortune 500 executive coach and trusted advisor from Chicago's South Side and author of Groove Back, Lessons from a Life Coach on Healing, Loving, and Being Loved. KJ's Jam is building courageous leaders, resilient relationships, and thriving communities through his grounded approach to personal and collective transformation. Ava St. Clair is the founder and Prime Minister of the Santa Lily Institute. As a spiritual advisor, she guides global leaders to and through their purpose. Ava enjoys teaching about cosmic law, relationships, purpose, and our collective human potential. She has a background in social psychology and holds a master's in human consciousness and transformation from John F. Kennedy University. Ciola J is passionate about encouraging and inspiring women and children to seek and reach their God-given purpose. A 3-time survivor of childhood sexual abuse, homelessness, her mother's death, suicidal thoughts, domestic violence, and more. Ciola is living proof your past does not destroy your destiny. Today, armed with the right perspective, the truth of who she is, and working her faith, Ciola J is a licensed minister, an inspirational speaker, screenwriter, 5-time playwright, published author, business owner, and certified life coach. Ciola loves to write, sing, travel, learn, and most importantly, spend quiet time with God. Ciola makes her home in Northern California with her husband and music producer, Dre Griffin. Dre, aka Dre Loves God, is a sultry vocalist with his own flavor. Dre began his music career on the heels of his beloved mother, Dolores Davis Griffin, one of the Bay Area's well-known organists. Dre Loves God has collaborated with Bay Area's gospel icon Tremaine Hawkins, Shantae Moore, Destiny's Child, Deborah Cox, and many more. Today, Dre is still a sought-after producer, continues writing and producing music for seasoned artists as well as up-and-coming artists. He has written and produced the music for 4 of his wife's stage plays, their first sitcom, 212 Vernon Place, and their upcoming first feature film, Finding Her Voice for Christmas. In addition, Dre is soon to release his first album titled Dre Loves God. Dre and his wife, Ciola J, work collectively and creatively under their ministry, music, and marriage. Welcome, everybody. Woo, can you hear me?
Absolutely beautiful. Okay, good night.
It's a wrap. Oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm really excited about this. I don't know, whoever knows me knows I I go goo goo gaga about love. And when I see it, I celebrate it. I'm not one of those I'm not a hater. I'm not jealous. I just see myself having that at some point, and I celebrate those who have it, and I learn and grow from you all. So tonight we're going to be talking about, actually, let me welcome everybody else who's been here. Kevin and Ava, Ciola, but this is Dre's first time. So let's say welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
So good to have you.
Very happy to be here.
Thank you for being here. So tonight we're going to talk about love in business, coexisting in healthy relationships. When you all heard that topic, what came to mind? Anything?
Oh boy.
I guess it pretty much speaks for itself. Would you say?
Oh boy.
I would agree with you, Kevin. Oh boy.
I was trying to start something. That's what I thought.
It's a very loaded topic.
Hey, we got to dig deep, no shallow conversations here.
Yeah, many have fallen short.
Would you say?
Many have fell short, so it's not something that is always easy,
Exactly. I mean, this actually was inspired from my own failed marriage. I was married for 23 years. Most of you know that. Dre doesn't know that. But my ex-husband and I, we made good music together. I mean, we were doing so much. We were traveling. We toured for like 3 years. We started an independent record label, got a lot of great exposure, television, like rubbing shoulders with like big names, open for MC Hammer, CC Winans, Vicky Winans, you name it, in the gospel music industry. And we were flourishing. But of course, things behind the scenes weren't going so well. So that interfered with how we were able to move forward, in business. So yeah, needless to say, we lost the business and we lost the marriage. And so I want to have conversations with you guys to see how you're doing it, because I know it does come with challenges, And another thing is from observation, I've noticed how a lot of people tend to put the family relationships and intimate relationships kind of on the side, and the business tends to be more important, more time is invested in everything else outside of family. But when you're sick or you come to the end of your life, it's like, who do you turn to?
Yeah.
It's your family. So if that is established from the beginning. So my other favorite couple that I love to use as an example when people challenging me that this can't be done, you cannot be in an intimate relationship and run a company. Building a dynasty is not an easy feat, but it's doable. You can do it. And I think it's kind of sexy too. I won't tell you what goes on in my head when I think about that, but okay.
I think you just did, Char.
This is adult conversation.
Right. One of my people have their fantasies, and it never happened, but the trench coat, Well, yeah. Anyway, so, but the Obamas, Barack and Michelle Obama, proved to us. They prioritized their marriage. They prioritized their children, their family, the country, the world, and with such class. So it can be done. So let's start from this. First question: how did you meet? So whoever want to go first?
Okay. I guess since I'm a newbie, I'll go first.
Yeah, good one, Dre.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, let's see. Let me travel back. So actually, we've been knowing each other for 35 years.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that dates us.
So I met her. She was my sister's roommate.
Good friend. We weren't roommates
Yeah. Well, eventually, yeah. But so I met her. She was good friends with my sister, and I think I said this while we were speaking one time, that we just saw each other and like, hey, hi, and kept it moving. you know, and so that was our first encounter.
Mhm.
And then
Wait, this was how many years ago?
35 years ago,
This was
we saw each
85.
other. Yeah, we saw each other and was like, hey, yeah, she's kind of cute. Yeah. You know, and then I kept it moving. And, you know, and she was my sister's friend. So as the guys, you know, you just don't do that with your sister's friends. That's just like, no, you know, because so much follows that. But anyway, 35 years later, we still kept in touch and we still knew each other. But I get a knock on my door and she wants me to do a
Audio from my
audio
book.
for her book. And I was like, oh.
It was actually a phone call.
Well,
Oh, wasn't a knock on the door?
Through Facebook.
excuse me for forgetting the
details.
detail.
It all runs together anyway.
Yeah, all I cared about was the knock on the door. So.
Right. In your mind,
In my mind, that's what happened. But yeah, so we started working on that, and then we started telling each other's stories and you know, reminiscing about things that have happened in between those 30 years. And then things started to blossom. You know, we started to reinvent ourselves through each other, you know. So that was like just the tip of the iceberg of it, but that's I don't know if you count the 35 years ago as when we met, but that's when we met.
But there was an attraction, right? From then?
There was for me, there was like, oh, she's really cute, but she's my sister's friend. And, you know, she was kind of similar, you know, that's my sister's brother. And I think we were, you know, we just kept it moving. We just, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, over the 35 years, we kind of had our own separate lives. I was married, you know, for 19 years. I've been married twice prior to him, prior to Dre. And when we first met, you know, being his sister's friend, you know, you hear all the stories from your sister about their brother, and nothing was ever said bad about Dre.
I was an angel.
But he wasn't. But he was really involved in music and, you know, doing a lot, traveling a lot. He was in a relationship. And, you know, there was never really any interest, you know, he was always Brother Dre, you know, because she was like a sister to me. And when we reconnected about the book, you know, I was in the process of going through, unfortunately, a divorce, and was very kind of, you know, I don't want to be involved. I just, you know, I've gone through something that's very painful. I don't want any part of any more relationships. And he wasn't approaching me from that, you know, from that perspective. He was very respectful, there for me. And I made it a habit never to talk to another man about my current relationship, especially about my husband. I just never did that. And one day I was just so frustrated. I was leaving the studio and I broke my own rule, you know, and I expressed my frustration, and he never said anything negative. He was just like, well, you know, if you need anything, just let me know. And that was it.
And also, I will add the origin of me being where I was. You know, I had been in relationships. My longest during our 35s was 15 years with my kid's mom. And so, you know, so after that, running around, you know, and then now I got this 15-year-old boy, grandson that I'm raising. I was like done. And I said, you know, Lord, I'm just going to work on my music, raise this kid. And I'm done with all the running around trying to. And so as soon as I submitted and just was like, I'm done, Lord. That's why I say the knock on the door came, because that's what it felt like.
Wow.
You know, it felt like as soon as I just said, you know what, I'm not looking for nothing. And so when she did come, I was excited to see her, but I didn't look for nothing because in my spirit, I was done. And I wasn't trying to do, you know, I wasn't trying to marry nobody. You know, we're a little older now. You know? I'm not 30 something. So, you know, marriage was not really on my plate as far as, you know, what I foresaw.
Wow.
So
So you guys have been married for how long now?
It's
Coming up on 3 years.
about to be 3 years in January. We got married 2020, January.
Wow. That's
Um,
awesome. Congrats.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
awesome. Exciting. Thanks for sharing. All right, Kevin and Ava.
Don't look over there.
I love it, Kevin. He was like,
I'm the designated storyteller.
She didn't give it your don't
No,
she?
She didn't even look. She
didn't
side-eyed
she didn't
him.
break her gaze into the camera. She's like, no,
Peripheral.
I'm not doing it. Well, there's a very similar story. We've known each other for probably a good 9 years, maybe longer, maybe 2012, something like that. Mutual friend had a mastermind meeting at my place. And invited a bunch of people that she knew, and I invited a couple people that I knew, and it was like 12 of us sitting around the dining room table, and Ava was one of them. I had never met her before, and I was in a relationship at the time. I've been divorced. I was married for 20 years.
28?
20.
20? Woo.
And 3 kids, 19, 23, 27, something like that.
You only look like you're 19.
Nobody believes me how old I am. Yeah. And the Zoom filters made me look even younger. So that's even better.
We got to get up on those filters, honey.
Yeah, there you go.
No, you all look great. You look fantastic.
Well, and so we had a great meeting, a couple of hours of great conversation, a lot of Black entrepreneurs sitting around the table and chatting. And we dismissed. I went up to my friend Stacey and I said, "Who is that over there? I mean, like, who is she? Like, I know her name, but who is she?" And it wasn't like I was trying to get with her or anything, but I was just so blown away that I had never met this person. And I was like, "Stacey, who is this?" "Yeah, you missed your chance, Kev." And so I was like, well, you know, she's cool people. I mean, she was at the time she was running a design business, and I hired her to do some consulting with me about my brand as I was.
Of course she would.
Practice.
Of course she would hire her.
I mean, hey, she knew her stuff. I was impressed. It was so much more than an attraction. It was like, I really respect how she brought her knowledge and her insight. And I needed that, because often I find it difficult to find people who bring it at the level that I bring it to my own clients.
Yes.
And so when I saw that and she stood out in that conversation, I was like, we got to do something together. I mean, we're not gonna mess around like that, but we got to work on something together.
Yeah.
And so I became a client of hers, and we worked together for probably a year, off and on, on a few projects, and she was still married, and I was in a relationship. Fast forward a few years, we kept in touch. We've gone to a few events and run into each other every now and then, and a knock on the door came.
Knock on the door. Yes.
You can take it on later.
I mean, it was weird because at the time I was still married. I mean, things were on the rocks, but I didn't know it. And so I was like, you know what? I was in this phase of my life where, you know, the things had gotten so bad with the existing marriage. I was like, you know, I'm going to start building myself up, because my soul and my spirit was just like calling for some nourishment from other people. So, you know, I started working out, got my office together, you know, just doing a lot of really cool stuff. And I was feeling good about myself. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try something different from now on. And so something told me one day, I was like, you know what? Just go, why don't you text Kevin? And it had been like maybe a couple of years
At least a couple years.
Like,
what?
Just out of the blue.
Out the blue, I was like, what are you doing today? I was just feeling myself. I was like, let's go hang out and, you know, have drinks or, you know, whatever, do something. And he was like, I just happen to have 2 tickets, because every time he buys, as a rule, he would buy two tickets every time he wanted to go out to a concert by himself, just in case somebody else wanted to come. And he was like, I just so happen to have these 2 tickets to this concert. So I was like, all right, bet, I'm thinking I'm going out with a homie, so I leave the house, whatever, we go out, and it was like magical. Like that entire night was magical. And I was like, well, you missed that one. So I go home, I kind of, I'm a little sad about it, but I'm like, what, it's cool, we're still friends, it's all good. And about, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, my husband at the time came home and he was just like, we're done here. Just done. And I wasn't totally thrown off because we had sort of talked about like separation and things like that. But I was like, I thought we were, okay. And so it just sort of fell apart. And I think I still till this day don't exactly know why or what the situation was when he left, but I think we were done and out of court in 3 months.
Oh wow.
And so
fastest divorce I've ever witnessed.
Illinois, I didn't even
like that.
Have no
Your
idea.
joy had come. Your joy had literally come.
That's what I think happened. And so I'm kind of in the house like trying to figure out what to do with myself. And I'm like, well, so I'm just kind of moving forward with my life and everything. And we're talking, but things are like rapid, like there's like a boulder like formulating. I'm like, what is happening? Like this can't be right. This is wrong, according to whatever I'm supposed to be flogging myself in dressed in black for at least 6 months, right? Like the right thing to do. And it just didn't happen that way.
To have
like,
ash and sackcloth, huh?
Right. My Christian upbringing was working on me. Like, what is going on? And so, at the time, I was just like, you're here. It doesn't even matter. So I just kind of let things go. And like you said, as soon as I released all of the ideas and whatever, and I think maybe a few months after that, I sold the house, and Kev was like, well, you can come over here and, you can do all that healing you got to do, which is basically what I did. And I used the pandemic to do a lot of that work, and we did it together.
That is awesome.
Kevin, you can honestly say, Kevin, that you loved her for her brain.
It's true. It's true.
Yes. Starting from that point of attraction, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So wait, so both of you all started your relationships in 2020? Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Fiola and Kevin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have a theory about this. This is my 5th one this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have a theory about this. I feel like, how do I say this and not sound crazy?
Just say it.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of these relationships are being orchestrated. I have clients who are going through what my transition point was 5 years ago or 3 years ago now, who are just coming out of a relationship. Somebody comes home and says, we're done here, boom, and they're immediately into another soulmate relationship or into a soulmate relationship. And I think that a lot of it is almost like an orchestration, whether you call it God or the universe or whatever. There's a sifting and a sorting going on between people who live based on, let's say, the old system of fear, the patriarchy, whatever that is, let's say, very loosely.
Obligation.
Right, exactly. You're living from a place of,
as opposed to a sense of union.
Right.
Yeah.
And depth, and willing to do that work, and willing to have these really deep conversations, because most of the clients that I'm working with even now are people who are with people who didn't want to go there, who had unhealed things that they didn't want to touch, or whatever it was. It isn't necessarily just like, well, we're talking about obligation of patriarchy. It's just generally not believing in something bigger or grander or more beautiful than fear-based thinking, let's just say.
I like what you're saying there, Ava, because I think one of the things that really kind of hindered me from even considering early on with moving forward with Dre was fear-based. It was based off of past pain, past experiences. And so it's kind of like, and one of the things I told him in the beginning, I said, yeah, my ex-husband loved me in the beginning too. Yeah. What's the guarantee, here? I needed a guarantee.
Yeah.
And, like, you have to guarantee me that going into this, you're going to love me just the way you love me now, some years from now, because the past one didn't turn out that way. But what I love about Dre is, and you touched on communication. The basis of our relationship has been and continues to be our ability to communicate effectively with one another. And I think above everything, of all
transparency.
Yes. And we actually
nothing under the sun.
true. We enjoy each other's conversation. We make it a point to communicate with each other. We make it a point, if we run into difficult times, we work through that, you know. And I love something Dre has always told me from the very beginning. He says, no matter what happens, never forget we love each other. You know, so that's always that reminder. No matter what happens, always remember that we love each other.
That's awesome. And I think, you know, this is how I was in my first marriage as well, is I found a reason to fall in love more every day. And in spite of, into a fault, because there were things that were going wrong and we were young. You know, I understand all that now, but I really went into it like wanting to be more and more in love every day, you know? So let's go to the next question. How has it been for you all merging your relationship with business?
I'll take a stab at that one. I think, you know, I think to kind of surf off of the waves that everyone's talking about, intimacy is the foundation for everything. So, and intimacy is more than just sexual. It's emotional. It's linguistics. It's our transparency, as Dre said. It's how are we tender to each other?
Yes.
And you know, how do we not get hardened in the relationship? And I think it's easy in a working couple relationship to use work as a defense against intimacy. You know, it's hard work. I'm busy. I'm focused. I'm dedicated. I'm committed. But I think all good business comes from great partnership, great intimacy, great collaboration. And once collaboration starts to get compromised, the quality of the work, the quality of what you're producing starts to get compromised too.
That's right.
That's how I would begin.
Okay.
Yeah. And just like sort of talking even with Ciola, like based off of the fear thing, I mean, that was for me too, was I had so much fear, it was in my body. Like I would shake or I would cry. There would be sometimes at night when I was in the bathroom and I'd sort of like, things would come over me and I'm like, do you see where you put yourself, right? Like based off of what's happened in my past, it's like, you're living with this guy, like you're gonna wrap up business with him too. Are you crazy? You know, and like sort of purging myself of these like ideas. But the thing that helped was me being able to go to him and tell him like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on. And so like working through those kinks, and they were like really big, long, days-long conversations of like working it out.
Wow.
In order to push past a lot of it for both of us. And I think, you know, sometimes he wouldn't say anything, but I feel like also maybe in some cases you were feeling that way, but we're working through it by talking through it, right? I was like, and he was like, you know, like, it's okay, babe. And then I'm looking at his eyes, I'm like, I think he's freaking out too, you know.
Ava, I would definitely agree with that. And if I could piggyback on that just for a second, Char.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that I appreciate about Dre and even about this conversation is that, you know, the transparency that is taking place here, you know, I think is definitely going to be beneficial to other couples who may be listening. Yes. Dre was very patient with me. Very patient with me.
I knew.
And he said that from the very beginning. He knew, but he was very patient with me. And one of the things he would always say is, take your time. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be right here. And so, and that gave me permission to go through everything I was going through. It gave me permission to feel like a crazy person at times, because at times I felt like a crazy person. You know, he gave me permission to be vulnerable and safe at the same time. As one, you can't be vulnerable until you feel a sense of safety. And he made me feel safe. And in feeling safe, I was able to be vulnerable and express the things that most people would consider you being weak by saying certain things, or, you know, you're crazy for allowing yourself to feel a certain way, especially the African-American women. We're going to be strong no matter what. You know, you have to be strong, you have to persevere, you have to endure, you have to push through it no matter what. You have to be stronger than the man. And so he gave me permission to be a woman again.
Come
He
on.
gave me permission to not have to feel like I have to carry everything. It was okay to offload some of this stuff. And he would always tell me my shoulders are broad enough to carry. And I felt like finally I can woosah and really have a husband, not someone I was married to, but someone that is a husband to me.
Wow.
But he is. He's my husband.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll save my stuff for later. That was nice.
Well, Dre kind of wrapped it up in a song, and I think this might be a nice spot to play that song. Are you ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ready? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'll try and explain the song.
Yes.
Maybe it doesn't need any explanation, but I'll try.
You go ahead. You want to say
Oh,
something?
no.
Want us to play it?
After
You wanna play? Okay.
Yeah.
Tobias, we can go ahead and play that.
You said serve me, and desires of my heart would be mine. Am I worthy? Cause her love seems so far away, and I want her almost as much as I love you. Oh, am I wrong? Dreaming, hoping. Am I wrong for wanting to hold her now? God, am I preaching to the choir? Or do you hear me? This is my desire. She is my desire. Am I wrong? Dreaming, hoping. Am I wrong for wanting to hold her now? God, am I preaching to the choir? Or do you hear me? This is my desire. What do you desire? What do you desire? What do you desire? What do you desire? She is my desire. What do you desire? What do you desire? What do you desire? What do you desire? She is my best friend. Heaven here on earth. P31. I pray that two can become one. I wait on you. Please, Lord, tell me that I'm worthy while I delight myself in you. Am I wrong? Dreaming, hoping. Am I wrong for wanting to hold her now? God, am I preaching to the choir? Or do you hear me? This is my desire. What do you desire? What do you desire? What do you desire? What do you? She is my desire. What do you desire? What do you desire? What do you desire? What do you? She is my desire.
So beautiful.
I told myself I wasn't gonna cry.
Right. Look, y'all messing me up. Y'all messing me up.
Wow.
That was beautiful. Absolutely
Thank you so
wonderful.
much.
Yeah, that's
So
a
that was when I knew. That's when I knew. And she had come to me wanting to write, wanting some music for the plays, and I was like, you know, I wrote this song for someone, and I would love for you to hear it and let me know if you could use it in your play. Took her like 2 weeks to figure out that it was for her.
Oh my gosh! Yes, Kim.
So yeah, I wrote that for her. And, you know, I really wrote it to God though, because you know He says, "Serve Him, and He will give us the desires of our hearts." So I was like, you know, Lord, I've been rocking it out with you for a while. I really like this. So you know, that's when I knew, and and so I didn't lay it on thick or nothing. I just kept believing, you know, and let her know what I was feeling, and then hopefully she would see it too. And everything, like when you said, Ava, about your ex just said, you know what, we're done, and similar things. I mean, it said he's going, take it like he's just act like he's going fishing or something. He said stupid. I don't know what he said something. I was like, he said what?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
wow. I'm trying not to get too emotional.
Yeah. So you know, a while after that, you know, she started doing these plays, and I was like, you know, well, I could help, you know. And short story. My mentor, who I David, my mentor, who was having a meeting about the music for the plays and whatnot. Out of the blue, he just said, he pointed to his wife, and she was on the balcony. He says, "You see that long lady, dark skinned, beautiful hair, big lip lady right there?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "That's my desire." And I prayed to God and asked for what I desired, and He gave it to me. And so I took my butt home and
Don't you talk about it. Yes.
Inspiration.
See, you were tuned in. You were tuned in. Wow. To be loved. Like you, okay. I don't know if I got the right couples for this show tonight. Look, I needed some drama, but this is going to be so
Well, Char, I think that's my next interest to find out from Ciola and Dre around conflict.
right.
Like, because like one of the things that we've experienced is, you know, we both have history with relationships, and marriage and you know, other relationships, right? And so whenever conflict or disagreement comes up, it's easy to default to the trigger of a trauma, or you know, some like this is that again.
Yeah.
This is that same thing all over again.
I'm so guilty of that.
Right. And you know, what we've dug into is more of a place of, this is not that, what is this? And talking about it as it is right now, and not getting caught in the triggers of the past.
Yes.
And it's hard, but I think, you know, I use the word tender a lot because I feel like that's what has been so critical in our relationship, is that we have talked about those past triggers. We've talked about the things that ended relationships or caused great rifts in our relationships in the past. And so we know what each other's triggers are.
Yeah.
And so when they come up, we do a better job now than we did at the very beginning, of being tender with each other and being curious.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how you all handle conflict as you are working together.
I'll start off by saying, it's the best way I can put this. First, the foundation, like you said, we talk. You know, we talk about everything. And sometimes the talk is half of me going in my feelings. Sometimes it's her in her feelings, but there's always a mutual place where we have to meet so we can advance.
Yeah.
You know? And so, you know, I want to say like if you had a puppy or you had a baby, how you childproof the room so no one gets hurt. That's kind of how I, you know, approach things. I make sure that if I set down my feelings in front of this person, that we are protected by our knowledge of each other and our past relationships, what triggered us. We're protected by the knowledge of that. So that, you know, when it does arise and when it does pop up, it's not like, see, you just like, oh, my ex, you just doing the same thing. It's like, no, well, like you said, well, that's not that. This is something new. What is it? And so we come to this place to where, you know, I don't have a problem, you know, we have a little inside thing. It's like, you know, oh, you stank today. So, you know, you know, and we have to be able to be honest with each other. It's like, yep, I do. I smell rotten. You know, so, and it's not, you know, it's not all these smiles and all this stuff every once in a while, because every once in a while you look up and you'd be like, but then you have to remember, I love this woman, or, you know, and you have to remember what got you to where you are and where you want to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here without her. I don't want to continue on my life's journey without her. It was much better with her.
Yeah.
So I have to keep that focus and keep that, you know, in mind.
You know, sorry, Ciola, did you want to say something on that?
I did, but I'll wait.
You sure? Because I was going to segue, because Kevin, it's so funny that you brought that up, because I was going to segue to a clip from their stage play. And I would just want to play that really quick. And then Ciola, you can say what you need to. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. Tobias, if these walls could talk.
But Christine, I'm not here, my love. I'm not. All I want to do is love you, girl. It's really simple for me.
Simple. Simple. You think this is easy for me, Brandon? You think I like being here? Feeling this way? Let me be the first to tell you. I trusted God. I waited on him. Heck, I trusted Patrick. I mean, how can you proclaim you love somebody and hurt them like that? I mean, see, I'm trying, Brandon. I'm really trying. But you just keep pushing me. I mean, I feel like I'm back up in the corner. I mean, can I get 50 feet? I'm starting to feel like, what if I'm not ready? What if I'm not ready?
Wait, what you mean you're not ready? I bought you a ring. I proposed to you. You said yes, and you accepted the ring. Doesn't that usually mean that you're ready? Then where's this coming from, you're not ready? And you say this now? We've been discussing wedding plans. Christine, I have done everything to prove to you that I'm here for you, that I love you, and that I will never hurt you. I mean, I pray for you. I pray with you. I provide for you financially. We're not even married yet.
Provided.
I honored your wishes, and I've been patient with you with all the stuff you past and your past. What you allow to hold you hostage. Whatever.
My past? Holding me hostage? Are you serious? So this is what you think of me?
Yes.
You think I need your protection?
Yeah, you do.
You think I'm crazy, Brandon? What is going on, you two? Stop him!
That's intense. That was intense.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess you all have starting over in these new relationships. I'm sure you've had moments where similar to that, probably. I'm sure.
I was trying to prevent that.
Trying
to prevent that. And I mean, most of the relationship for me, I mean, I don't know about Kev, but a lot of those conversations for me have happened literally alone with God. There have been moments where I've been triggered and I'm like, you know what, let me just, or I get certain messages or I was hearing certain things, because basically in the beginning of the relationship, what I was trying to figure out is if I was setting myself up for something, some kind of a failure again. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, are you bringing stuff? Because I didn't know what I'd done wrong necessarily in my last relationships. I was like, I don't know if I'm recreating that here. Right. I was just so confused. And so most of the conversations I was having was to prevent that blow up and getting messages and talking to people and trying to figure out like, Lord, if this is the right thing, like put me, just move me in that direction. I'm not doing that, because I'd seen it with other women in my family. And I'm like, well, if this is a chance for me to get what I've always been looking for, I don't want to repeat that.
Yes. Yes. Because I don't know about you, I've never been a yeller. Like I'm not argumentative. I'm like, let's talk about it. If we agree, fine. If we don't, fine. But let's make up, But some people like to keep that going in the, I don't know. Like that just like, it just does things to me. Mm-hmm. But Siola, I know you had something you want to say about that.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to say was one of the things that, a couple of things I want to touch on, the snippet from what you just showed. But prior to that, Dre was talking about, we were talking about triggers. And for me, one of the things that Dre and I had to work through was that I was not the women of his past. I didn't respond the way they responded, and it was hard for him to really accept that mm-hmm. I don't feel that way. Or if I said something, there was nothing attached to it. It was very difficult for him to understand that, no, what I said is what I meant. There's nothing else to it. Nothing else lingering. There's not going to be any backlash from it.
It almost was like, what do you mean you're not tripping? They all tripped off on something. It took me a minute it did take me a minute, because I had some crazy, different thinking. Now I want to call them crazy. Mm-hmm. Everybody is love, but I had some different thinking type of women in my past that, as soon as they did something or I did something, I expected a certain reaction. And I didn't get that. And she was like, well, that's blah, blah. Okay, that's it. All right, bye.
Ava, Siola, and I seem to be in the same place. Yes.
So argue about this for 30 minutes at least. What do you mean you're done? I was like, so I had to learn to accept the calmness and the who I was, calm.
Wow.
I met someone like me versus what I had to deal with.
Yeah.
And so sometimes our frustration, if there was frustration between us, it was like, no, seriously, I'm done. No, really, I'm not tripping.
Right. Exactly.
It led me to the point to where I really wasn't tripping, but now I'm tripping,
But you won't let it go.
So it was that. And then it was him really understanding that me not speaking about something for a minute, I needed time to process.
Yes.
And so he really didn't understand, like, I'm not angry. I'm really not in the mood, but why you're not saying nothing? Because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to say something that I'm not going to be able to take back, that I'm going to regret. I don't want to say something that's going to make you feel a certain way. So let me just process. Mm-hmm. And my processing was me being quiet because I needed to look at myself. Yeah. So what did you do wrong? What part did you play in this? And he didn't understand that. So those are things that we had to deal with in the beginning, really kind of learning how we both coped with different things, how we processed through those things, and allowing us the time to come together and then work through it. So it was like, what do you mean you're not tripping? No, I just need time to process. And it was like, really understanding that. And I think, again, going back to the communication part of it, is that Dre and I have always had this really great ability to communicate effectively with one another, allowing each other to talk and to hear the other person, not trying to talk over each other and express each other's points. So, and he's just a really calm spirit in any way. You know, anyone who knows Dre knows he's just very calm. You know, he's like, I used to say and I still say he's the calm to my storm. You know, calm to my storm.
That's like a song, Dre.
Yeah.
Now that I know you got a set of pipes on you over there, might have to
Let's work on it. Well,
Yeah.
we have 10 minutes, and I wanted to get into thanks for sharing that. I wanted to talk about the business part of it, how you all set up boundaries in between your relationship and your business, and how, you know, because a lot of times our personal situations can affect how, you know, the business. So whoever wants to take it away.
I'll start. I think the pandemic has been a workshop for us to work through, you know, staying at home, you know, sheltered in place, quarantine type conditions, and building our businesses. We basically decided each one of us needs our own workplace that we can go into and be by ourselves while we work. And when we collaborate, you know, we'll come into each other's offices and do our thing. But when we're done, we leave our office, close that door, and we're either in the bedroom or the living room or the kitchen. And like Dre said, you know, we have great conversations. And sometimes we'll sit down for dinner and we'll start talking, and I'm like, oh, we should have recorded this. This was really good. See? Yeah. It's a thing. And it's like, I think it happens like that because we have, and something that I teach all the time is this pulsing kind of relationship. No relationship is intended for you to be always together. We're supposed to pulse apart and together. Everything pulses. The wind, the heart, the blood, the sea, the earth, everything pulses.
Yeah.
And so the ability to be together and be focused when you're together, and be apart and be focused when you're apart, allows for, it's like when a bee pollinates, it's a coming together, but it's a coming apart that makes it fruitful. No, there's no growth until they come apart. And then they come back together and they get to share what they learned when they were apart.
Yeah.
And so that avoids the codependency that often shows up in relationships, where I can't be without you. I have to be everywhere that you are. And it allows for the individual to continue to grow. And when they grow, when you get back together, there's something new to discover.
Exactly.
I mean, every day this woman is coming out of her office like, you know what I read about Jordan Peterson, or you know what I read about, you know, Kundalini Awakening. I'm like, where do you do all this stuff? I mean, I feel like I don't have enough time in the day, and she comes out like, oh, she has all these revelations and everything. And it's like every time we talk, there's something new that we can discover. That is what makes it work, in my opinion.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Ava, you have anything you want to say about that?
The main thing that I'll say is that my thing with all my relationships, because they've been so weird in the past, what I've learned and harvested from that is speaking what I see. There's been so many times in my life with other people, just situations where I'm like, I think this person's kind of feeling this way, or I think this is what's going on, or there's a behind the scenes, and I can see it, but I'll be like, I'm not gonna say anything. Over here though, hey, yesterday we was talking, right?
right. Yeah.
And said a thing, it had a bit of an inflection, and inquiring minds want to know,
Yes.
what did you mean when you said this? Or I feel, and this has even happened with, him talking to me about my family issues, or me talking to him about his family issues, and I'm like, I see something shaping up over here. that's a little bit of a kindling, put some water on it,
Awesome.
you know.
That's
So
awesome.
that's been my biggest thing, and that's what's actually kept me safe, is like, if you sense something, you see something going on, instead of me going into like these anxiety attacks or fear states, is being like, no, I have enough power in the relationship and in my own life to bring it, so that we can iron it out and kind of move forward. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Ciola and Dre?
Just quickly, I'll touch on what Kevin said about the pandemic. We got married, and literally the pandemic happened 2 months later. So, you know, we learned to work together and be in the same environment. And for us, I mean, I didn't know that I was that much of a introvert, you know, because it didn't bother me at all, you know. But I think the balance of our relationship was so great, because we were actually working on the same thing, but from two different, you know, perspectives. She was writing and I'm doing the music, you know. So when he was saying the posting, I was like, you go ahead, Brother Kevin. Because we would go to our mutual corners and do our thing. And then when we come back together, you know, I got this for this. And she's like, oh, I got, you know, so it really works. And that's very great perspective about the post. I love that.
Yes, I love it. I love to hear it.
Provided me with a slay of songs titles. So.
Right, exactly. Work on it. Work on it.
He will too. I think
Yes.
I think it's good though. You know, Dre and I have, again, first of all, I think it's amazing when you have someone that can literally, that supports you, as Kevin, you do Ava, and as Dre supports me as well. And being able to respect the difference, you know, that we're different, I think is definitely important. Respecting each other's differences and how we work. Me, I'm a workaholic. I will go close myself up somewhere and work all day. He'll have to come and say, babe, 2 hours and I'm shutting it down. I'll get in and you know, I'm a workaholic. I'm like the mad scientist. I got different projects going on. I'm writing over here. I'm marketing over here. I'm doing design work over here.
Y'all see that board right there,
right? That's my board. I got a conference call going on over here. I'm scheduling another Zoom, you know, so I'm toggling between screens. He'll come and say, babe, you need to close down all these screens, you know, but I know I'm working on all of them. Wow. He's very calm. He's working on one thing at a time. And sometimes I get frustrated, like, no, come on, we need to get this done. He's like, babe, when do I need it by? I'll have it. I'm like, but that's the way he works. And I had to learn to respect that. And for me, it was like, come on, we got to get this done.
But I love that. It's like the balance. Like you all are balancing each other, which is what it's supposed to happen in a relationship. We only have 2 minutes. Let me read Sandy's comments really quick. She said, the best relationships survive because the partners are infinitely curious about each other. Nothing is assumed, all things available for inquiry. I'm not sure what this comment is for, Sandy, but it says, important to deal with the person in front of you, not a ghost from long ago and far away.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sandy's another one. She's
well said.
Woo, yes. Before we,
No, I'm saying that's beautiful. That helps.
Good stuff, right? Good stuff. Before we go, I'd like to play a last clip. Ciola and Dre has a sitcom coming out soon on their own channel. So we're going to play that right now. What's the title again, Ciola?
212 Vernon Place.
Yes.
Come on, Stan. You know I can cook. Man, the brothers in the military used to make some good old meatloaf. Really, man? They not gonna know jambalaya, gumbo, black-eyed peas? Man, trust me when I tell you, Stan, it's going down. Oh.
Good stuff. So much, man. We don't have enough time. If you all don't mind, stick around. We're going to close out the live portion and we'll talk a little bit and bring Sandy in if she'd like to come in.